As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. Start with the first clue, which is this one. This is the actual very first clue. This whole stanza is all included in the first clue until the period. Clue number 2. Begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. Forrest Fenn, being the word master that he was, this is the first clue in the map portion of the poem. That's why Forrest said it's the first clue, but it's the first clue in the map portion. Clue number 3. Put in below the home of Brown. Period. That's the third period so far. That is the end of the third clue. Put in below the home of Brown. Clue number 4. From there, it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. Semicolon. I'll be explaining why this is the end of this clue when I get to that part in the video. Clue number 5. There'll be no paddle up your creek. Just heavy loads and water high. There's a period here to identify the end of another clue. Clue number 6. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. But tarry scant with marbled gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. Period. These are all commas, except for the period at the end, and the but signifies a different area, which I will go over after, but this whole stanza is one clue. This stanza also signifies that you are at the end of the map portion of the poem. You have found the treasure chest location, the final resting place. Clue number 7. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answer I already know. I've done it tired and now I'm weak. Period. That's the end of the 7th clue. Clue number 8. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. Period. That is the end of number 8 clue. Number 9, the final clue. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. Period. You are at the end of the whole poem, and I will go over why all of this fits the way it does. Under 5 minutes and all 9 clues are revealed. Now on to how they fit in a specific area. These are the actual factual places that coincide with the poem. 9 actual factual clues that line up in order with a specific place to associate with. Forrest's unknown to us is the secret place there. Once you understand where there is, I can keep my secret where. Everything comes clear on how the poem works and brings you to that special final resting place. Let's begin. For educational purposes, I will give you where there is. And to save time explaining, there is Palisade Sill, New Mexico. As Forrest has gone alone in there is into Palisade Sill area. Forrest had a secret place in Palisade that nobody knew about, not even Peggy. This is a picture of the entrance that led into that secret area, which leads into a secret ravine, which the ravine is actually why he called the book The Thrill of the Chase. The chase is that hidden ravine. And with my treasures bold, one of Forrest's treasures bold was he had gone up to the secret place many times when he was younger, taking his day's catch of brown and rainbow trout up to his secret fire pit that was hidden 500 feet up on a ridge across from the sill. This was bold as a young man going in alone with trout to a secluded area risking attacks from hungry bears or mountain lions. The other one of his treasures bold was, he buried the treasure chest in a place that was close to his heart, a place where Peggy would wait for him while he fished his favorite spots. This spot was tricky for getting caught near the parking lot from rangers or sightseers while burying the treasure. I will rest through all of time and space, pillowed down and scented in, with a smile that comes from remembering the special things that brought me to that final place. One of which was knowing Peggy was there, somewhere, waiting for me. I can keep my secret where? Where is there? Palisade Sill. Now Forrest leads us into a tremendously helpful hint. Forrest is telling you exactly where, hence hint. And hint of riches new and old. This is the pinpoint hint in the first clue that lets you know where your search area is. The first half of the canyon is all newer quartzite rock formations. The second half of the canyon is all older Proterozoic rock. Separation point is Palisade Sill. Geology. Cimarron Canyon exposes nearly 2 billion years of complex geologic history. The canyon separates the older Proterozoic rocks to the south from younger Tertiary rocks to the north. The oldest rocks in the area are the Proterozoic, Metamorphic, and Igneous rocks. By the way, the most important word in the book was intrusion, for intrusive igneous rock. It's what Palisade Sill is, and it's that rock that starts at Palisade Sill and continues from there all the way down the canyon. Under 10 minutes and we know our search area already. Whoa! That is the end of just that super incredibly informative stanza number 1. Next, we move on to the actual map portion of this poem. Begin it where warm waters halt. Agua Fria Peak. Warm waters halt at a point where cold waters peak. This is the starting point of the map portion of the poem. And take it in the canyon down. A direction towards Cimarron Canyon and head into that canyon. Not far, but too far to walk. You start at Agua Fria Peak, which is the warm waters halt, and you head towards Angel Fire, towards Cimarron Canyon. After Angel Fire, you take a right onto Route 64. At this point, you're heading towards Cimarron Canyon. You pass the Vietnam War Memorial. Right here, it's crucial because the too far to walk in the poem, in the name of the book, on the second book, and the quote out of this book. Now, from Agua Fria Peak to Eagle's Nest is 23 miles. This is your too far to walk clue with the second book, the book name, and the story Jungle Wisdom. Along with that route, you have the War Memorial, and the name is synonymous with the storyline of walking out of the jungle. I could use my survival radio and hope to be rescued the next day, or I could leave it off and try to walk out. I debated the issues while hunkered down in the damp darkness between two fallen trees. About daylight, I decided to try and walk out. Would not be fair to my wife and two small daughters who are waiting for me back in Texas. All of this information is crucial for lining up in that one spot in the poem and the book for too far to walk. On to clue number 3. Put in below the home of Brown. Eagle's Nest, home of Brown. Simple, but also history of Eagle's Nest says it used to be called Therma, home of the Browns. Can't get any more home of Brown than that. These golden eagles are known for the dark brown color. Below Eagle's Nest is Cimarron Canyon. This is where it gets really cool, because the next clue in the map is from there, it's no place for the meek. Clue number 4 is from there, it's no place for the meek, the end is ever drawing nigh. This clue just so happens to be 8.3 miles from the home of Brown. This is not coincidence, it's the reference for the more than 8.25 quote. This is also why Forrest said, if I told you where the home of Brown was, you could go straight to the treasure. Once again, this map pinpoints Palisade Sill as our search area. Now realize the term from there is referencing beyond Palisade Sill. Because there, from Palisade Sill, from there, it's no place for the meek. About 1,000 feet beyond Palisade Sill, there's an old man face. It's an old man on the mountain, however you want to call it. But that's significant to Mountain Man Wisdom in the first book and Looking for Lewis and Clark. And it's also significant to the second book, which has the story Mountain Men. This is your physical place for no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. It has two meanings. First one is the 300-foot cliffs on your left, which is the Palisade Sill. And also, you are just about at the end of knowing where your precise search area is. Explanation of the semicolon from earlier. Now we get into why the semicolon is here, because it's an extension of this clue following into the next clue. It fits together, but in a separate area. Semicolon, a punctuation mark indicating a pause, typically between two main clauses that is more pronounced than that indicated by a comma. Clue number 5, there'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high, period. This is a continuation from that clue just before it. From there, it's no place for the meek, the end is ever drawing nigh. They're still talking about beyond Palisade Sill. There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. This is telling you not to go down to the creek. There'll be no paddle up your creek. There's only heavy loads and water high down there. And that's beyond Palisade Sill. Now this creek he refers to is Maverick Creek. Maverick was in the first book. Maverick was in the second book for Amelia Earhart. And then he said the spirit of Amelia Earhart in the third book to bring in the significance of Maverick for the third time in the third book. That's where the Maverick Creek comes in. We are done. Any more driving, no more searching. We know our search area. Now that you know your definitive search area from these physical places to attach to the poem, everything that has taken us on this drive from Agua Fria Peak to Eagle's Nest to Palisade Sill are all actual factual places that line up precisely to know where you need to look for the treasure. Clue number 6 tells you that the actual map portion of this poem is done because of this line, if you've been wise and found the blaze. This is validation that you had a search area to already have been looking in. The blaze is hidden somewhere in the search area, Palisade Sill. This whole clue number 6 is like a small map in Palisade Sill area. I will show you how and why and the reasons it brings you to Forrest Fenn's final resting place. This is based on physical things that once again definitively connect with the poem in consecutive order. After searching Palisade Sill for weeks and years, I finally changed up my search pattern. I went across from Palisade Sill instead of searching under the sill and near it after crossing the river. This newly discovered area, I had 3 solid days of searching on that side of Route 64. I came upon this abandoned fire pit that appeared to be unused for many years. I knew right away when I found it, it was Forrest Fenn's actual blaze. That day, I emailed Forrest Fenn a picture of a rock structure that was about 30 feet away. This rock structure looked like it could have had a box in between it. Let's call it a nook, shall we? I sent Forrest a picture with a timestamp and the location in the picture details. This date was November 1st, 2017. In December 2017, Forrest Fenn announced that he had a gut feeling the chest would be found by the end of next summer. This is such validation that the real blaze had been found, yet I failed at that retrieval because of extenuating circumstances. This blaze answered everything up until that point. It made sense about where your starting point is in Angel Fire. That you wouldn't know you had the first clue right until you solved the poem. Forrest passing away in his secret area would create an angel beside his fire pit. Also, it was the end of his rainbow, cooking his trout for meals. And finally, the hidden ravine that leads up to the ridge. That was the thrill of the chase. Now that we've completely proven that this is the actual, factual, true blaze that Forrest was intending us to find, we can move on to the rest of this clue. From the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. This one line is so crucial for the solve. It's the line that held me up for almost 2 years. So freaking simple, yet so complicated. Unless you catch the absolute genius way Forrest gave the answer. I did the hard work, so here you go. This might give you goosebumps. Okay, this is where the word cease comes in so critically. T.S. Eliot really said it for me. That's what Forrest had said, and this should give you goosebumps. We shall not cease from our exploration, and at the end of our exploring shall be to return where we started and know the place for the first time. Okay, so that word cease that's in the poem, and Forrest said that T.S. Eliot said it for him. We shall not cease from our exploration. And what you're going to do is end up back where you started. That's why Forrest said T.S. Eliot said it for him. So, and that portion of the poem, that line, you end up from the ridge back down where you started in the parking lot. Now comes the true validation with factual places. But tarry scant with marvel gaze. You get back down to the parking lot. The tarry is the tar, and scant is just a little bit, the small parking lot, 1 car deep. Marvel gaze is Palisade Sill right in front of you as you're walking across that parking lot to the final resting place of Forrest Fenn's treasure. Just to have a better understanding of this whole clue, if you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. But tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. That word but is the separation from up on the ridge down to the parking lot. And that cross is right there for you to take the treasure chest. The final resting place has been the controversial talk across the past year and a half. From 95% of the Fenn community not believing that Forrest would use a cross for the treasure hiding spot, or place the treasure where an 80-year-old might have a chance to figure it out, on the side of a parking lot. Well, Forrest did. Say, God will forgive me. That's what he does. This next picture is the actual picture from in the book I sent to Forrest and let him know that it had been solved by the man from back east. It says, sometimes when it wasn't too cold, I'd get even with my father for switching me by jumping out of the window by my bed and walking down to the cemetery, which was just 1 block north of our house. It took guts to go in there when it was dark with no moon. I still remember the sense of accomplishment I felt when I sat on some dead guy's grave marker. I wasn't even afraid. A kid really has time to think in a graveyard. The reason Forrest knew that I had solved it from this little paragraph, it has window, which is Palisade Sill, jumping out of the window, which is his second home in the wilderness, by my bed, walking down to the cemetery, which you walk down to the cross, which was just 1 block north of our house. So that 1 block is the parking area, that's 1 block, and it is directly north from the fire pit down to the cemetery where the cross is. So the line, it took guts to go in there when it was dark with no moon. He's telling you have to be brave and in the wood. The brave part is going in at night when it's dark in there, which is Palisade Sill, with no moon. So Your effort will be worth the cold. Sometimes when it wasn't too cold, I would get even with my father. This all connects if you start really looking at it, and that's how this whole poem worked out at the end to be able to go in and dig up where that cross was that Forrest Fenn left that says Kent and Esther. And we found that cross that says Kent and Esther. And I just want all of you folks to know that this solve that I just gave you is the actual factual solve. Folks, I just want you to know that any questions you have, I will be glad to answer them. I feel like I've answered every single thing, every quote, every clue, every hint. And it's only just begun from the Kent and Esther. So I'm going to put some snippets up here of different hints that I've figured out in the book. Because Forrest did say that there were a bunch of hints sprinkled throughout the books. And it's not just one or two hints. And this will show you. So I appreciate you watching. Thank you, folks. And take care of yourselves. Merry Christmas.